Hey guys, wanted to share the latest new feature that's part of Sitecore Foundation. Right now, it's actually only in the XXA branch, but there's actually no reason it can't be pushed into the main branch or used completely separate from SXA. This is actually kind of a neat standalone feature that you can pretty much copy paste into your project, run the Unicorn sync process, and you'll have this available. And this all has to do with generating documentation, which is really not my favorite thing to do. And I just feel we waste a lot of time running documentation, especially writing documentation before actually doing things. And in the end, what you actually scaffold out and build out in Sitecore, it's actually just as easy to build a template in Sitecore as it is to document it in a Word doc. I actually think it's easier. So I came into this with the premise is if I'm documenting stuff that we've built or I'm documenting stuff that I'm about to build, let me just put it out into Sitecore and then just press a button to get the documentation the way I want it. And effectively what it gives you two templates. It gives you a documentation folder template, of which you can then create whatever structure you want. So if you want to create one big document, knock yourself out. If you want to create lots of little documents, and in our case on a project that I'm working on, we're actually creating a document for each component, not even a document per Helix feature, but it makes it kind of easy to create them at whatever level you want. And then for a particular component, or a particular one, you can create this feature documentation item. And there's some content fields, and this is really just to add like a header and kind of initial version kind of stuff, and you can adjust that to meet your needs. But the bulk of what you really need to do is provide details. And here, like for templates, you actually select the templates that you actually want to document. And then it'll go out and provide, it'll actually render. You'll see in a second when I show you what this looks like. It'll document all of this. You can do it for branch templates. You can do it for renderings, for placeholders, for dictionary items. And this is my favorite. I actually have something that will use reflection. As long as you generate XML files and you have Xdocs comments, it will actually read them automatically. So you can put in the fully qualified uh, class and assembly names. It'll go generate documentation for that. Pick lists as well. Now for XXA, I mean, if you actually look at this, there is an optional template, so you don't need to use this if you're not building an XXA site. But in Feature Doc, you can see I've separated out to feature details and XSA details. Right now, feature details inherits it, but if you didn't want to, you could just take it off and everything should just work. But if you are doing it, if you say documenting your page designs, your partials, your variants, your available renderings, any site or tenant bootstrap rules you have are also supported. And let me show you how it works, and then I'll show you how it's put together. So I actually can just go in and you can jump to Experience Editor, or I can just jump to Preview. So it actually, this is one component that is actually pretty cool the way it did it, because it does support a dynamic table of contents, which was something I implemented. So your revisions, your kind of your standard stuff. So we'll go piece by piece. So .NET classes, this is where for all those fully qualified classes you put, it'll let you know the details around it, including Xdot comments. The summary is actually an Xdot comment on the thing. The methods, which also include Xdot comments. Inheritance, you kind of give you all those details. So that's pretty good. The templates, it'll give you all the details where it is, what the base templates, what your insert options. For ones that have fields, it'll give you your field name and title, the field type, the data source, if it's shared. This character limit is something that I did specific for a specific project. I'll probably remove that, but that is not probably for everybody. And then any validation rules. If there's a default, it'll show the default. The other thing I'll output is if there are presentation details on the template, it'll actually tell you what renderings are used on it. So that is part of it. So you can go through. So then we go to, here's your branch templates. Which it'll just tell you that what it has. It's actually just a single item. There's no child items to that. That was just something I built when I was following it. Pick lists. These are specific to Sitecore Foundation, but if you had your own pick list, you can easily adjust it to support it. Your rendering details, how the renderings are configured, your placeholders, what's allowed in them. Uh, these things are XSA specific things, but this just gives you an easy way to quickly generate a design doc that has all the details of the scaffolding of a component. And just to show, I am using some pretty friendly CSS that does add page breaks after everything. So it actually comes out outputted pretty nicely. So you can maybe output to PDF. If you have to convert it to Word doc, you do what you need to do. The other thing I'll note is all the items, whether they're templates or rendering items, anything that you have that's a Sitecore item. Like, I mean, a lot of this is around Owl Carousel. So let's open up that feature. So this is really a parameters thing. One of the things you actually can do in all these things is you can actually click on help. And if we said rendering parameters allow you to set options for how the carousel will behave. So I do that, I save it, I can then refresh it, and that description, so any long help description will actually be output as part of the documentation. And you can see there it is. All right. So on the Sitecore Foundation front, each of those fields are really a processor, and each of those processors actually have their own CSHTML file. So you can add your own and extend the complexity of this document as you need to. The other thing I just wanted to note is if you want the xdoc comments to show up with the .NET stuff, you just need to make sure you generate XML documentation and have that. Make sure that's got copied into the bin directory so that it'll have that stuff and it'll just generate that out when it's doing it. And that's it. I think this is saving our team a ton of time in putting design docs together. I hope you like it. Thanks.